Secretary, I'd like to move the motion set out on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wrote this a few days ago, and perhaps we don't want to go along with the first few sentences of what I have to say, but I'm going to say it nevertheless. First of all, Mr. Mayor, can I just take a moment on behalf of all councillors, I hope, especially those who have not had a chance to speak this evening, to wish you and the Mayoress and all officers, all our employees, a relaxing time over the Christmas and New Year holidays and peace and contentment in 2016. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now the motion. Before I really start, perhaps we need to remind ourselves that we here in Nuneaton Bedworth are just one of many and varied local authorities in the UK. As we know, one thing all these councils have in common though is that the role of council is really quite clear. Basically, it's to make decisions in the interests of local residents and to see that they are implemented. It's councillors who carry the can, and if anyone has any issues with what an officer says, in the public arena especially, then take it up with the controlling group. Now, councillor colleagues, we are being asked to reaffirm our commitment to our code of conduct. Here's our code. It's in this drawer here. It's quite big. Is it worth anything? Does it mean anything? Why do we want a code? Well, we know why. It's to remind us to behave ourselves, to treat with respect, and to aim for integrity. Above all, it's to inhibit us from lording it over others and abusing our powerful position. At this point, it's good to remember that officers also have their own codes, how to behave in the public arena and elsewhere for that matter. One of the big messages, steer well clear of party politics. Do not get involved in political debate. In other words, stick to reporting on how policy is being implemented and to giving professional advice. We as councillors know that officers are constrained, and in essence, if we aren't prepared to take that on board, we shouldn't be councillors. Another factor to bear in mind is that we can all, of course, sometimes choose our words badly, but we should never go for officers in a premeditated sort of way, designed for some political effect. So, Mr. Mayor, there is a name for picking on those who can't answer back, including when you know that in other circumstances, certainly in their area of expertise, they could have you for mincemeat. Finally, it is our code of conduct, councillor colleagues, not the code for Conservative councillors, not the code for members of the Labour group, not the code for members representing other groups now or in the future, but the code for all councillors. And we need to hold it in respect. Colleagues around the chamber, I urge you to support the motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Jackson is a second signature on the...
Mr. Mayor, I will second the motion and reserve my right to speak.
Does any member speak? Councillor Bonner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to clarify something to start with, really. If anybody in this chamber wants to criticise me, I'll take that on the chin. I won't take it as an insult. I think we've got to be clear here that sometimes criticisms are meant to be constructive, not insults. The subject I'm going to talk about has been bothering me for quite a while since I've become a councillor. I think of myself as I am a new councillor. I don't know much about this responsibility yet. But one thing I do know about is that we're all sat in a room that's quite dangerous, in my professional opinion. This isn't the biggest room in the building, but at the beginning of every meeting, the Mayor, agenda item 1, goes through the evacuation process. We should go out by the doors that we came in. But there's one bit missing from that. We should go out by the doors that we came in and down the stairs across to the Yorkshire Bank, if it's safe to do so. Now, I have brought this issue up with the Council's Health and Safety Committee, and the good news is it's being worked on. But I think it's a bit late, you know. I would criticise the health and safety of this council. I think the Chief Exec should take on board this, and I'm not sure who the portfolio holder is that they should note as well. If we have a fire in this building at the moment, and the fire is in the reception hall area, which is a huge area, it's the biggest area of this building, we could lose the building. What we would all have to do is go out that little door there. That might not be a problem at the moment because there's only about 60 of us in here. But I'm most concerned about it at mayor making where the room's chock-a-block. So I am critical of some of our officers, but I'm not insulting them, I'm just criticising them. You know, I disagree with something that Councillor Harvey said several times today. We don't break the law. Well, in my professional opinion here, we are breaking the law. We haven't got a suitable risk assessment for when this room is fully occupied. I could go on for quite a lot longer, but I don't think it's wrong to criticise officers as long as you're not doing it in an insulting way. I'm going to finish there, because I should have been somewhere else at 8 o'clock.
Thank you. Councillor Trones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm wondering what's provoked this. I mean, you know, we could have all sorts of votes in favour of apple pie and motherhood and all sorts of good things, and you know, there's nothing in here that you could object to. It's all good stuff. But why now? Is the group that's proposing this? Have they got something they want to own up to? Have they transgressed in some way, or are they directing it at some other members? I think you should be clear about why you're bringing this up, why now, and who you're directing it against. Thank you.
Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm very concerned about this motion because I think that the proposers are deliberately to save themselves from standards themselves, not put the actual person who it is intended to be aimed at. The councillor's code of conduct is a contract, and we have all signed it. If we want to be councillors, at the end of the day, we have to play by the big boys rules, and that means we sign up to a code of conduct. It's like a contract, and a contract has a means of being upheld if it is transgressed. The person who I think this is aimed at, and I think it is aimed at an individual, I believe has transgressed the rules of the code of conduct in the past, and he has been held to account by the proper authorities through the Standards Committee, and we have sat here and heard the Managing Director himself read out statements of censure. But it is a very, very fine line this motion is walking, because I do believe actually that there was some bullying of officers going on, but I also believe in a veiled way that this motion is attempting to use the vast numbers on the other side to bully an individual member. I truly believe that. And two wrongs, and it was wrong what happened, and everything was documented in the public arena after the Standards Committee. It was wrong, and there is no excuse for that. But two wrongs do not make a right. This council should not, in full council, act as judge and jury, and I think that's what we're doing here. The proper method is to raise a complaint. We've heard it time and time again from members opposite. If we believe something is not being done right, raise a complaint through standards. And that is the proper channel to go through. Not a motion like this. If you are truly committed to this motion, have the courage of your convictions and name the member that you are aiming it at. Because this motion, as it stands, is completely wrong. I 100% back my signature on my council's code of conduct I signed almost 6 years ago. And I truly believe that all the members over there also, the code of conduct they signed, uphold. But we also signed a code of conduct to treat each other outside of the political spectrum with respect. I don't think this motion is doing that. I truly don't. I don't believe in bullying in any way, shape or form. And the way it is written, and the subtext behind this, I believe is a form of bullying. And I will not support bullying of any council, whether they be Green, whether they be Labour, whether they be Conservative, whether they be BNP or Monster Raving Loony Party. But this motion is asking us to act as judge and jury. If you have a problem, go through the proper channels that have been legislated for by Parliament, take it to standards, pass it past a panel who are there to adjudicate on a complaint, and they will apply the proper sanctions. This isn't the proper way to do it, and I won't vote for it. I will abstain on this basis, because you should have the courage of your convictions. If you are aiming at a member, name them.
The motion needs a spine.
Councillor Hawks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Having spent most of my working life in health and safety, I've heard it used on a lot of occasions, but I've never thought I'd ever see it used on an occasion like tonight. The individual in question, who knows all about health and safety, will be well aware that an assessment has been carried out on this building, and it is quite possible, and should be, that everyone in this room can evacuate by any one of these exits. And if you want to be technical about it, you don't even need signs over these doors, because these ain't the exits. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other member? Councillor Harvey.
Mr. Mayor, I'm quite frankly appalled by what the Leader of the Opposition has said. I think, unless somebody's going to challenge me, I have never treated with disrespect any member of the council. I've had many disagreements, Mr. Mayor, but never treated them with disrespect, because they represent a viewpoint in the community that they're entitled to put. But Councillor Bonner said that he can put forward criticism, etc. Well, he can put that forward to members, because we can give as good as we can get. But the point is, an officer cannot. And all we are doing, Mr. Mayor, in this motion, we're not naming anybody. There's been an assumption made. We haven't named anybody. Any people are putting this forward, and it's been put forward by 5 different people, that we reaffirm the council's commitment to the code of conduct for councillors, and we deplore any insulting personal attacks on the professional and personal integrity of our officers at meetings. How could any councillor with self-respect vote against that or abstain? We are merely asking every councillor in this authority to reaffirm in a meeting that this is what we believe in Nuneaton and Bedworth, Mr. Mayor. And the first time you see me put an insulting comment about anyone at a committee, at a council, on social media or whatever, I'll walk out myself before I'm thrown out, because I think there are certain things, Mr. Mayor, that are beyond the pale, and insulting the professional integrity of officers is one of them. I ask for a recorded vote on this because I consider it extremely important.
Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can tell you in advance, I certainly will abstain from voting for this. It's a non-motion, as it has already been said. What is the point? We have standards, which we all abide by, except some people, and I agree that there is a single person this is aimed at. We all know what it is. The protection of officers, officers themselves should be open. Okay, we don't do it, but they should be open to criticism to do with things that have been happening. I mentioned a point in my question earlier that I don't think is being properly addressed. Okay, I can throw it to the opposition here. It's a very, very serious thing. But I hope I do hope that the officers are advising them properly if they have more information. But I will abstain because I can't see the point of this motion. Only.
Thank you. I've got Councillor Condacourt, Councillor Jackson and Councillor Pomfret, because we're getting very close to the witching hour at 9 o'clock, so I'll take those 3. Councillor Condacourt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We live in interesting times, and this is an interesting timing for this motion. And also an interesting time when the alleged bullying was actually mentioned in your weekly column, just after a certain cabinet meeting. And at cabinet meeting, various things were said. That cabinet meeting is on YouTube, the key bits of it, so I'm sure people can actually have a watch of that cabinet meeting, and it'd be wonderful if every meeting of this council was streamed on YouTube, put on Facebook or Periscope, so everyone can see what anyone says. Everyone has a record, so we can actually have people not accusing people of things who weren't even at the meetings. Because there's a motion here with 5 people, I don't think those 5 people were at the meeting I'm thinking about. So I think openness and transparency and protecting officers from comments and protecting members, we actually need video. Going on to what happened back at the cabinet meeting a month ago in November, there's various people talking about various things. Councillor Foster, I believe, was doing one of his talks about air quality and not agreeing with the officers on air quality issues. That doesn't mean he thinks the officer's unprofessional or whatever. Yeah, there was a difference of opinion. Councillor Foster's background in science, he's got his opinions on air quality, and we shouldn't be able to say, oh, but the officer's a professional, we can't have someone talking about it. And likewise myself, I'm a bit into spreadsheets and numbers. I really do love finding mistakes in council performance reports. I find an awful lot of mistakes in council performance reports, and at the November cabinet meeting, I was talking about errors and spin in council's reports. The reports are actually done for the portfolio holder. The officers are producing a report under the instructions of the politicians. And those reports will say things. For example, the Vicarage Street project, I pointed out, was dead. The project had been cancelled. The termination had been done with the contractors. It was only down as an amber in the performance report. Then the news put a freedom of information request in to find out what was going on. Project cancelled. Yet we do need to be given honest information. If I was to criticise that amber, officers could say, the politicians told me. Politicians could say the officers. We do need to actually have honest information. So we're not actually molesting officers, telling them they're dreadful people. We're saying the information from the officers doesn't seem to be accurate, and it happens all the time. And the most classic example was a year ago in the In Touch magazine, when the council's In Touch magazine said we collected 99.35% of council tax. We didn't. We normally collect about 97.5%. We only collected 97%, so we collected 0.5% worse than normal. And the In Touch magazine printed we collected 99.35% of council tax. That is wrong. And I questioned it. And it was wrong because the officers were told not to report 97%, but to report 99.5%. I believe the officers produced the wrong figure. That doesn't mean the officers were professional. It could mean the politicians are telling the officers, spin it well. Give us an amber instead of a red. Give us 99.5% rather than 97%. We have regular errors on performance reports, and we need to be honest. We need honest data, and we need the officers to be able to do their jobs. One of my great fears at this council, what Councillor Oldington and Councillor Harvey do all the time, is say, we trust our officers. You both tell your officers what to do as well, and can use your officers as human shields. You can. The question I asked you earlier on, you said, do you not trust our officers? I don't know anything about these figures. Our officers are professionals. Well, that's actually not a very good form of scrutiny. We actually need proper scrutiny. We actually need to make things less personal, but we actually need to be able to ask questions. And it's appalling. Empty shops, another area I continuously go on about. We actually need the Economic Scrutiny Committee to talk about empty shops so we, opposition councillors, can ask officers questions. But we can't do that because you've cancelled the Economic Scrutiny Committee. We are being stymied in terms of actually having opposition in this council, and the only place we can go is a cabinet meeting where we can say we don't think this figure's right, and then you can say we're abusing the officers.
Here, here.
Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I seriously didn't think that a notice of motion that was confirming our commitment to an existing code would cause such disquiet. It seems to me that every single member in this chamber should say yes with conviction, should agree with this. It's fundamental to everything we do. I don't understand many of the comments made by opposition members in regard to any reason to abstain, vote against. Let's do what it says on the tin. Let's just confirm our commitment to appropriate standards of behaviour. Simple as that.
Councillor Bonford.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. For Councillor Bonner's information, I am responsible for health and safety in this building. You're looking for somebody to point the finger at. But even arguments against the motion seem subtly, perhaps not so subtly, to have supported the need for us to reaffirm our code. It's amazing. Councillors, we are not the Ofsted or the CQC for local authorities here to give marks out of 10 on how officers are doing. We don't have the expertise. I think we do, but I don't think so. We're not here to wag the finger in the face of officers, and definitely not in public. For example, using Twitter or other social media to run the council down. Not running down the Labour group, but running down the council, running down the officers. And it's not our council, although we represent the people, it's the council of Nuneaton and Bedworth. Finally, just let me give you a little quote from the code, if everybody's read it. You must not conduct yourself in a manner which could reasonably be regarded as bringing your office into disrepute. The office of being councillor for this borough, as we all are. Again, colleagues, I urge your support.
Recorded vote.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll read out the names of each member in alphabetical order who will indicate if they are for or against the motion. Councillor Alnington. For. Councillor Beaumont. For. Councillor Bennett. For. Councillor Bennett.
Can I abstain?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, for or against, absolutely against what was mentioned.
All you've got to do is abstain.
I abstain.
Councillor Copland. For. Councillor Doherty. For. Councillor Doughty.
For.
Councillor Elliott.
For.
Councillor Foster.
Abstain with conviction.
Councillor Fowler. Councillor Glass. For. Councillor Grant's apologies. Councillor Hancock's. For. Councillor Harvey. For. Councillor Hawkes. For. Councillor Haynes. For. Councillor Hickley. For. Councillor Jackson.
For.
Councillor Condarmo.
I think I'll vote against.
Councillor Tony Lloyd. For. Councillor Ian Lloyd. For. Councillor Longden.
For.
Councillor Margrave. For. Councillor Navarro, apologies. Councillor Caroline Phillips.
For.
Councillor Neil Phillips. For. Councillor Pomfret.
For.
Councillor Jill Shepherd. Councillor Tracy Shepherd.
For.
Councillor Tandy.
For.
Councillor Roman Taylor, apologies. Councillor Tromans.
Abstain.
Councillor Watkins. For. Councillor Wilson.
Two wrongs don't make a right, abstain.
I said
Did you get you two? Yes. Sorry. Right, that's carried. Thank you. Right, that's the end of the proceedings. Can I